You will never convince me that the FBI is a lefty organization.
You don't? You really don't think that?
I've been working with them, until Trump. The media was in the business of attacking the FBI with we can neither confirm nor deny, and everything takes forever, and they never close a case, and they never tell you anything. And we would work against them. Why? Because that's the job of the media, is to test power. Now, because of Trump attacking institutions, he put us in a position where we had to defend these institutions, which was perverse and uncomfortable, but clever. Good move by him. As was personalizing his critic base. Very smart for him to personalize the media, because nobody in the media wants to take on a president of the United States. Maybe for a moment, just to get some shine and pretend that you're something. But
Jim Acosta, he made a name for it,
Jim Acosta started it. That he was a fake news.
But look, you could see him, Megyn Kelly. You get a moment there. Dan Rather got it way back in the day. But let me tell you, long term, bad thing, because Trump's going to have a lot more supporters than you ever will if you're in the media.
Right?
Anyway, you see that is a very smart thing to do. The institution itself, the FBI, you're never going to convince me. Guy for guy, they tend to break center right, but I don't care. I don't think it influences their job. What I'm saying is not brainwash, but that when you're in power, you get the pull, especially on the congressional side. We spent years of people on the right not being wrong when they said, God damn, you go after Trump for everything. Every single thing these guys can get on him, they're doing. It's like, wow. And now you do the same thing when you get in. Why? Because it works. And that's the dynamic of the game.
So Chris, and let's just say, looking from the outside, if you weren't even from here and you saw just from the history of the FBI from way back when to just Russia collusion, okay? We were all duped. Hillary went, pay for the dossier, Comey, all these people, and now with Christopher Wray, it's like they have a history of just lying. And then when you ask, for instance, the January 6th, I forgot which senator, congressman just questioned Christopher Wray again, and he goes, can you please tell us how many confidential human sources were dressed as Trump supporters that were inside the Capitol before the doors were open? Can you please tell us? And he goes, I have to be careful with what I say. The answer should have been no. But they keep playing this game of, we can't say because there's an investigation. We can't say this. For me, Chris, I don't see how you can say that you don't see that especially the FBI is corrupted and they're leaning a certain way. Look at what they're doing, going after all the January 6 people at their houses. They're going after mothers.
They're going after, to the degree that they go after, okay? That's where we get into your territory, but where you can be pissed off about it or see it as overreach. You break into the U.S. Capitol. There is absolutely no proof that it was an orchestrated event by confidential informants. This happened. Do I think it was an insurrection? No.
Okay.
By definition, it was not an insurrection, and it was not an act of terror, but it was a really ugly reflection of where we are, and I can get that people are going to be prosecuted for it. Should the degree of that prosecution and the punishment, you can argue that part. But your main point, Christopher Wray, is a lifelong Republican, as is Bob Mueller. When Trump put Wray in, he loved his ass. Yeah. The idea that he then all of a sudden transformed into this Manchurian candidate who is there to undercut the right is nonsense. Now, does he give doublespeak and deal with things that he should answer straight and doesn't? And does that fuel your misgivings? Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Do I believe January 6th was a setup? Fuck no, I don't believe it was a setup. I also don't believe it was an insurrection. I believe it was exaggerated in terms of why it happened and what actually happened, because people were scared and they could play to advantage. The same way happened with the BLM riots. Right? I'm one of the tools of this. Chris Cuomo said, where in the Constitution does it say that protests are supposed to be peaceful? Right in the first line of the First Amendment. Obviously, I know that. What was I saying? Is that when people were saying, who are all these black people and their allies shouting at the cops? Go home. I was making the point, hey, look, this is protest. Protest isn't going to be nice. People are going to be saying things that are angry and hostile. They're outraged. We need this in a democracy. It's upsetting, but we need it. I wasn't saying that you're not allowed to peacefully assemble. Maybe I'm a shitty lawyer, but I know what the First Amendment says. But why would people twist my point? That's the game. Why would people twist what Ray says or doesn't say? That's the game. And I just don't know where it gets us.
And I don't want to sit on it just really fast with January 6th. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but then what do you say, Chris, when the ex-chief of police, Stephen's son, said, by the way, this guy is the most trusted guy. You can't just all of a sudden Pelosi on them try to make him look like he was full of shit. That guy has top secret clearance.
Let's take him at his word.
He's a G, right, Chris? He said they had warnings that people were going to be violent. There was threats to life. So to not give him the resources that he wanted
was a mistake.
Hold on, a mistake. Why though? I want to go deeper to go why. Why would you turn down his call for the National Guard? Why did he have to wait? It took 71 minutes for the National Guard to show up. The New Jersey State Police showed up before the National Guard, which was 4 hours. So that to me, with the FBI having people in there agitating like Ray Epps, because listen, Chris, say what you want. Inciting a riot was Ray Epps, 100%. He was telling people to go in. He started it. He was there at the breach. He got a misdemeanor. Chris, meanwhile, the guy from the Proud Boys who was home got 20 years. That's where that's the questioning that we don't get no answers. You knew it was going to happen. It looked like they turned their back. They let it happen. They went, hey, insurrection. This is a threat to democracy. It's all bullshit and it's playing out, but there's people doing 20 years for not even being there. That's where I draw that line of they knew it was going to happen and let it happen to make it look like it was bigger.
Look,
that's the truth.
How you feel about the sentence of the Proud Boy guy, you're free to feel that way. It's certainly a very harsh sentence. And him being there, not being there, obviously what he was convicted of is a planning role. But when you fuck up, you create opportunity for people to decide why you fucked up and what the fuck up means. Let's not forget that even in this point of transition, Trump was still the person who had populated all of the different agencies and places of power. So it's not like everybody in there was set up to be against him. There hadn't even been a transition yet. But when you screw up, and they did screw up, you create avenues of opportunity to define what it means. And that's why it becomes fuel for your suspicion. And I'm not saying you're wrong to be suspicious. I don't agree that January 6th was anything than what we saw it as. I also don't exaggerate its significance. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
It's not an insurrection. I don't want to see everybody go to jail for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
I'd never said anything different than that. But the FBI being a tool of the left, I'm not feeling it.
And that's where we disagree, because I think that they're.
But that's okay.
That's fine, Chris. I'm saying just the proof is in the pudding of what we're seeing when they like, for instance, with Comey with Hillary's exoneration when they changed when she was getting in trouble for the emails.
And the way I see it, and it's not a left-right thing. Okay, Comey, not a fan.
Me neither.
That guy should have never involved himself in that. Oh, as a thing of conscience, I had to release this letter.
You're talking about the Hillary letter
thing.
9 days before the election.
He screwed Hillary Clinton with that letter. Now,
no doubt.
You can say, hey, truth hurts. Okay, I'm all right with that. But the mechanism, he ain't no lefty tool. Okay?
No.
So, same head of the same agency. What I'm saying is, I don't see it that way, but I certainly can judge the actions of the people in there. And you can judge Ray, but it's not because he's a Biden plant. I mean, he's Trump's guy. And Jim Comey thinks he was doing the right thing only by himself, evidently, because he screwed up the whole process. And the investigation wound up not even yielding anything satisfying. Back to the Russia probe. What was the problem with the Russia probe? Here's the problem with all of these things. And I feel the same way about the Bidens. And I feel the same way about the Trumps, okay? And I take a lot of heat for this, that I'm disagreeing with the idea that nobody's above the law and all this. First of all, I believe that nobody's above the law is true with a comma. Why? Prosecutorial discretion, what we're talking about. Why does this guy get 20 years and they bring this kind of case and the other guy doesn't? Yeah. Prosecutorial discretion. The law is the law. You apply it to the facts, but you make choices about who you go after and to what extent. Prosecutorial discretion. Trump, I don't believe it benefits. What's the ultimate thing here? Why do we have justice? Fairness under law. Why? Social order. Order. That's why. I don't think it helps the order. I think it fuels chaos. I think it fuels division. Here's my point. When you let politicians run prosecutions of opponents, you've got a problem. Congressional oversight has been perverted into nothing but advantage. They won't even look into their own programs about what's flying in the air and how they find it, collect it, research it. They won't tell us that. But they'll spend all this time looking into Trump's business records or Biden's business record, whatever they're looking at with Hunter Biden. I think all of it's a mistake, and all of it is a distraction of them doing the job they're supposed to do. You do not put people into power to investigate their opposition. You put them in there to make your life better, not to make somebody else's life miserable. But they don't do that anymore because they don't need to, because you'll vote for them on this more simple basis that's easier for them to achieve. And that's my kind of wake-up call. That's my frustration of what I'm trying to break through. And I keep getting beat down because it's hard to go against the game.
Can I ask you a follow-up on this? Because it's sort of emblematic what Vinny's asking you about. Essentially what your premise is that this two-party system is killing us. This binary approach to everything, that Christopher Wray is either a righty or a lefty. That's it. It's actually very nuanced. Trump put him into place, but there's been a weaponization of the FBI, allegedly. It's very nuanced.
Guys, Trump took Chris Christie's recommendation for Wray. So when you say Trump put him in place, here's a guy that's coming in trusting Chris Christie. Chris Christie recommends Wray. And you can say two-party system. This isn't a two-party system issue. This is establishment, anti-establishment, period.
Done deal.
Kennedys were anti-establishment. They killed him. Trump is anti-establishment. They've done everything but kill him, okay? If you're part of the establishment, you're part of the yes crowd, you're part of the crowd that desperately needs them, you're protected. If you're not, they will destroy your life, period. And by the way, we can sit here and talk all this rhetoric all we want. You know what's the greatest thing about numbers is results. So meaning bad policies have consequences.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.